I'm Laura Alexis.
And I'm Dr. Eric Smith.
And this
is
the official...
Jesus, why is it so hard?
This is the official Pop Podcast. Yep.
This is the official Pop Podcast. It's
definitely not the name of our podcast, though. Our podcast is Pop Culture.
Oh, my gosh.
I was saying the Instagram name.
Unbelievable.
This is Laura Alexis.
And this is Dr. Eric Smith.
And
this is the Pop Culture Podcast. So I'm super excited today, Laura, because we have my good buddy, Nick Baumgartner, here, who happens to be a gold medal winner from the 2022 Winter Olympics in snowboarding.
What?
An amazing guy, an amazing story, extremely humble, who came from a very small town and has obviously accomplished amazing things. And I think his story is going to inspire anyone, whether they're on a journey in athletics, to becoming an entrepreneur, or be successful in business, or even on a wellness journey for that matter.
That's awesome. And I think it's important that people see professionals, people from all different backgrounds that came from one place and, elevated to another. So I'm excited for this. Let's go.
Yeah, absolutely. You're going to love him.
Live from Times Square, it's Pop Recovery Systems, led by visionary Laura Alexis. Pop Recovery Systems, redefining surgical recovery with bariatric expert Dr. Eric Smith. Innovating surgical preparation and recovery, Pop Recovery Systems blends nutrition, mental health, and wellness.
Breaking through the noise and changing an industry. Join Laura Alexis and Dr. Eric Smith on the Pop Culture Podcast.
Welcome to the official Pop Podcast. We are so excited to be here on our 4th episode. Dr. Smith, you have a special guest with us today. I'm super excited to chat with him. I learned a little about your humble beginnings in Iron something, Michigan.
Iron River.
Yep, I was close. Yep. And then you just kind of knocked it out of the park. I'm so excited to learn about that journey in 2022. Mr. Nick Baumgartner, Olympic gold medalist. I can't even believe I'm saying that to someone who has that, and I'm talking to them.
Come on, Nick, where is it? I know it's nearby. Nearby.
It's close by. It's always close by.
That sucker is heavy too.
He put that around my neck. Yeah. It lives in my pocket, my backpack, or my truck. When people want to see it, I want to be able to show it to them, because I know that this thing's going to do a lot better being shown to people and sharing that inspiration rather than locking it in a safe.
I agree 1,000%. I would wear that like a chain, that's me, but I would do it.
Well, I put it in my pocket because I feel like if I wear it, I look like I'm, not too humble. I look like kind of a shithead.
Oh, yeah. Well, that tells you a little bit about me. No.
I'll let you take that role. I'm going to be over here.
You're like, I'm not touching that. So I'm really excited to have you here. I'm really curious, Eric, how do you and Nick know each other?
So totally random. I know you're going to give me a hard time about this. So one of the celebrity golf tournaments that I play in Mississippi every year, that Steve Azar puts on in Greenville, Mississippi. I got paired up with Nick one year. That's been what, about 3 years ago, maybe something like that, Nick?
Yeah, 3 years ago.
I think so. And it's kind of in the middle of nowhere, Mississippi, but is honestly one of the best weekends ever. Such good people. It's called the Delta Soul, and they raise money for kids in Mississippi for lots of different, venues and things like that. And so Nick is playing in our group. The first day we played golf, it poured the rain. This dude's golf clubs got lost on the way of him going to Mississippi. I can't remember where he was coming from. So he was literally using our golf clubs, and we had an absolute blast. And so we just kind of hung out that weekend. Such a great guy. Obviously, I've never held a gold medal before, let alone worn one. And he's just a really good dude, you know? And I mean, sometimes you're around people and you kind of vibe with them. You know their heart. You know, I'm a sucker for people that are good people. And we kind of just hung out that weekend. We saw each other again this past summer at the same tournament. We got to play golf together again, and had so much fun. And I think his story is so cool. It was a little non-traditional when he kind of reached the pinnacle of what he was wanting to achieve. And I'll let you get some of the information, but he's honestly one of the most humble human beings I've ever met, and one of the nicest guys that I've ever met too.
Oh, wow. Well, thank you.
That's sweet, right?
Yeah.
So like I said, I just went over a little bit because I don't like to dive too deep. I like to get to know people. But one thing that really, really stood out to me is that in your page, you made it a point to talk about how humble your beginnings were. And I really love that because sometimes when people reach like a peak level, they forget where they come from. So if you don't mind, I'd like to take you back to those beginnings. At any point in those beginnings, did you have a desire to be a professional athlete, to go to the Olympics? Was it something that started very young?
I would say yes, more of the professional athlete side of things, because nothing that I was doing, I think, at a high level and that I dreamed to do was going to take me to the Olympics. So mine was all about football. I wanted to follow my brothers in football. I wanted to be better than my brothers in football, and then hopefully get my chance, go to college, play football, and then hopefully make it to the NFL. That was the goal. As life, as we all know, it doesn't always work out as we plan. So I went on to college to play football, found out I was too immature for college, failed out in one semester, and that's when organized sport was taken away from me, something that took up all of my time as a young kid, doing all the sports that my brothers did, trying to be the best that I could in all these sports, and now it's all of a sudden gone. And I needed something to fill that void. Men's league softball wasn't cutting it. So I took the sport that I love second best to football, which was snowboarding. And I was like, you know what? Let's make a run at this. Let's see what we can do on this snowboard. And that started me on a journey that is still going. It's crazy to think that something that I started back. I started snowboarding when I was 15 years old. I started going after this dream of being that professional snowboarder, like seriously, at the age of 18, 19. And wow. And I am 43 years old almost and still doing it.
Wow. That's amazing. Not a lot of people can say that they're doing something like that for so long and continuing to reach higher levels. That's something that you and Smith have in common.
For sure, especially in a sport like snowboarding that's typically dominated by kids. So to be able to have this longevity in my sport and to do it at my age, I think we're just redefining what's possible. And anytime you can push yourself, like we all get older, our goals and our dreams, they always change. But for me to be able to keep going after this one at my age and keep setting those massive goals, it makes me feel so good and fortunate to be able to do this. And fortunate that I found the sport that I did and found it when I did. It was young and it allowed me to get to that elite level very fast. And then then the real work started, trying to stay at that level.
You know, it's interesting, Nick, because that's so applicable to so many people. For me, I'm not trying to motivate people to become professional athletes, but I'm trying to motivate people to want the best for themselves. And so many times I think it's not that they don't want that for themselves. They either think that they can't achieve it, they think it's too far away, or they just get tired, And, I see people who are in their mid 50s or early 60s and they'll say, gosh, is it too late for me to get healthy? Is it too late for me to have surgery? and find my health. And I'm like, if you got tomorrow, then it's not too late, you know? Yeah. If you can make one more day better, then it's not too late. But I'm sure there's times, tell us a little bit about this part, but I'm sure there are times from the first time you went into the Olympics, or, the amount of time you competed even to get to the Olympics. I'm sure there were periods where you're like, man, I'm going to hang it up. I'm exhausted. The amount of time that you dedicate towards this, all while being an unbelievable father and being a very hard worker outside of that too. What was that like? And how many times did you have to talk yourself off the ledge?
Well, you get to that point where you're exhausted. You're not seeing the return. You're doing all this work and not seeing that return. And it gets very difficult, but, and I know it's cliche, but that's where the great separate themselves. It's easy to do when things are going well. It's easy to do when the weather's right. It's easy to do when you feel good. But when you feel bad, you don't want to do it. You're not seeing the return. If you can step up on those days, that's where you find out what you're made of. And for me, it goes all the way back to the work ethic that I learned growing up where I did. So when you mentioned something, Laura, about never forgetting where you came from, it's hard for me to forget where I came from because of all the lessons I learned here. We're from very small communities, all built in the mining industry back in the early 1900s. And this place blew up, and then all the mines closed because they found more efficient ways to pull higher quality iron out of the ground. So all these communities have been slowly getting smaller, or some would say dying. And you get that grit and that work ethic from having to fight for those opportunities, because no one's going to come up here to the Upper Peninsula of Michigan and give you an opportunity. You're either going to work for it and fight for it and find your own opportunity, or you're going to sit here and you're not going to get the life that you're looking for. So for me, that work ethic is what helped push me through those hard points and those hard times, because and it would have just been, for me, I try to use this story to show people, like, it would have been easy for me to quit many times. But had I quit, look what I would have missed out on. Number one, I would have missed out on getting that Olympic gold medal with my teammate. But two, I would have missed the opportunity, which I like the best of all this journey, going back and giving back and motivating and inspiring other people, and more stories like mine to come out of these small communities. So, man, it's just, you can't quit when things get tough. That's when you got to really double down and invest in yourself and go get it done.
And I think that's a really good message to even use, right now, because whether it's a small town or it's just someone that has hit a lot of roadblocks and obstacles, they kind of feel like, they want to give up because this opportunity didn't work out, or this thing didn't work out. And, COVID was a big thing for people where things just shut down. And some people are still trying to recuperate from that. Me personally, I believe it was a blessing, but it's also have to do with that grit. When COVID happened and my job was taken away, it was, where do we pivot? Because we got to live. We got to survive. And so I definitely can relate to that so much. And I think that one thing that people may be missing is just key tips on how to do that if it's not as common. I believe that back in the earlier days that it was more common to see and expect grit, whereas now it's a little bit more like, it should come to me. I should go viral.
Yeah.
So if you're talking to someone who wants to be gritty and wants to work hard, other than never giving up, what would also be a super key element that you'd say this thing can help, inspire and motivate that grit?
Oof. Yeah, grit's a tough one because it's not something that you can coached. It's not something that you have to go out there and you have to keep fighting to earn that grit. And to answer, I don't know that I can answer that question in a good way, but it just goes with
answer it anyway. This is the inside scoop with the outside view, unapologetically. Answer it anyway.
If you want if you really set those goals, and the main thing is, oftentimes people set these massive goals I want to be an Olympic champion. Well, they forget about all those steps. If you focus too much on this, good luck. You're going to be in trouble because it's not going to come to you and you're going to get frustrated and you're going to want to quit. But if you can make those smaller goals that lead you to that point, you get these spots where you accomplished one of those goals and you get to celebrate that and you get to take that energy and that enthusiasm and fire that to the next step and to the next step and to the next step. I think oftentimes we want, like when you were talking about, I want to go viral. Well, guess what? It's going to take you a lot of work and a lot of failure to get to that point. But you got to make these small goals along the way that are going to get you to that big goal. And if we focus too much on the finish line and don't trust the journey and the process, you're never going to get there. And you're going to find a way or an excuse that's going to stop you in your tracks.
You know, Nick, I just talked to patients today in the office, and I say this to them all the time. But, you know, with what I do, everybody has a goal, right? They've got a goal weight. And I tell them, you got to get rid of those goals, because I believe goals bring short-lived happiness, and habits bring long-term results. And, you know, they focus so much on this goal that they don't enjoy the process getting there. They don't celebrate the process getting there. And then when they get there, they're like, what, now what? That was all I was working towards, is this goal. Mm-hmm. I mean, what you're describing is you had habits in place that when it sucked, when it was cold, when it was dark, when it was lonely, you know, I'd love for you to share with Laura. I did do a little bit of research on you, just beside knowing what I know about being a great guy to hang out with, of what you did and sacrificed to train during COVID, during that Olympics. All those things that no one sees. And it is so humbling to think I'm literally doing this where I could be doing so many other things, but you knew those habits would bring something to you. And I think there's a point that we have to reach when you say, I'm satisfied with knowing I'm doing the right things. That still brings me joy. And if that goal comes, great, but I still win if I'm accomplishing the habits of doing things the right way. Would you agree?
Oh, absolutely. For sure. 100%. And I think one thing that helps me keep the motivation, you guys, I plant these little seeds all over, whether it be in my house or wearing this ring when I'm pouring concrete. I have these things that remind me that other people are doing the work and I need to continue to do it, because if I don't outwork them, I'm not going to get what I want. So am I allowed to take my phone off of the stand here to show you? I showed you this.
Yeah.
So I got things like that. So it's a landscape, a beautiful landscape of a field full of sheep in black and white. And then you have a colored line right in the middle. And it just these reminders of what's possible if you keep working. I go to the bathroom, I look up, and I have an iceberg where it says success above the water. And then I don't know if you guys seen this, but below it shows you all the things, rejection, failure, and all the things underneath the water that took to get to that success. And I have these reminders everywhere. And the reason I showed you the ring, I'm a concrete guy. That's what I did to be able to afford to be a professional snowboarder, because it doesn't pay like professional football, baseball, basketball. I needed to find a way to be able to fund this journey. So I poured concrete because I could work all summer long, and then I would get laid off in the winter because it's too cold. Not only would I get laid off in the winter, but because I was working for a company for many of those years, I would get unemployment. So with a little creativity, I found a way to be a professional snowboarder, which is to get paid to snowboard. But when I would be working and I would look down and I would see this ring, and everyone's like, you pour concrete with that ring on your hand? Aren't you afraid of ruining it? I said, no, I'm afraid of not doing the work afterwards. You put in a 12-hour day and you're dead tired. And the first thing I'm done. I want to go home and go to bed. Well, when I look at that ring, I go, you know what? My competitors, I bet you they didn't have to do this. So they were working out in the gym. They were doing the things to set themselves up for success during the season. And if I don't do this, I'm not going to keep up. So these little reminders to make sure that I don't lose track of what I'm supposed to do, whether it be the lion on the wall, Rocky Balboa poster on the side of my bed, Muhammad Ali next to the other side of my bed, all these things to remind me so that I don't lose track of what I'm going for. And I keep working at those goals.
I love that you're visualizing your goals. And I think that that's so important. So I want to tell you guys a quick story. Today, when I was out of town, my mom, on my honeymoon, my mom was watching my daughter. And she realized in that time that she could act like she was sick and not have to go to school. So now this has become a new thing. Like if she doesn't want to go to school, she's going to act like she doesn't feel well. It's not a new thing. It's like the second time. First time I let her get away with it. Today was the third time. So I realized what was happening. And so anyway, made her go to school. And in that moment around 9 a.m., it's my day to work out. And I made a commitment for the rest of the year that I'm going to work out every other day, 1 day on, 1 day off. And I was like, I really don't feel like going to the gym today, and it's really just a personal goal that as I'm getting older, I would like to see for myself externally me in the best shape that I've ever been, for no other reason to prove to myself that I can do it. I'll be 37 in November, and I've come a long way health-wise, but that's it's just one thing that I want. And so I got it together and I went. But I think that I should have maybe a photo of something, of a goal or something to kind of remind me of that. And on top of that, I think I'm going to listen to this episode and listen to your part because it's so inspiring that you literally went and got a concrete job, which is super hard. It's not easy. Worked 12 hours a day, then trained and did all these things. And you're older than me and still you find time to do it. And I think that that's such an inspiration for anyone who's listening at whatever age they are, younger or older, that when you have the mindset that this is what I will achieve, no matter what, when it becomes a must and not just a good to have, that things really change and things can be different. Because I was reading that you were in the Olympics in 2012 as well, right?
No, 2010, 14.
2010. And so I didn't get this far. Did you place in those, or was it your first time placing in 2022?
Yeah. So funny story. My first Olympics at 2010 in Vancouver, I was 28 years old. My second Olympics in Sochi, Russia, I was 32 years old. You know what the prime age to be successful in my sport is? 28 to 32. That's when you have the best chance of being successful in sport. Those are my worst two finishes, possibly my worst athletic performances, whether it be made a mistake or just the craziness of the Olympics. I like to think that I was prepared and ready for it. But when I got to the Olympics in 2010, it was so big and it was so massive. And it's hard not to let that get inside and start making things tougher for you. So for me, my first two Olympics were my worst ones. And after that second one, I said, there's no way. And I said in the interview, I said, I will do this until I'm 100 if I have to bring one of those medals home. And obviously I didn't have to do it that long, but so I made a goal to go for 2018 in Pyeongchang, South Korea. And I made that Olympic team. I qualified just 4 weeks after breaking my back on my 36th birthday. I came back, went to Turkey, in Erzurum, Turkey, qualified, made my third Olympic spot, went there and took fourth place. Got so close to that. And I know what you're thinking. Fourth place in the world is pretty good, right? Fourth best doctor, Eric, in the world is probably pretty good. You'd be fine with that, no?
Nope.
Fourth best lawyer in the world? Well, let me tell you, fourth place in the Olympics is the worst thing on the planet. There is nothing. I mean, as an athlete that's been there, fourth place is nothing. First, second, and third, life-changing.
Oh, yeah, because it's bronze, silver, gold. Yeah.
Yeah, because if you get one of those, it changes your life. It allows you to go out there and use your message to talk to people, to motivate, to inspire. Fourth place gets you absolutely nothing. See you later. Try again next time. Well, at 36, I was like, I'm running out of chances. But so again, I did an interview and I was like, absolutely, you will see me at the next Olympics. And then it's funny when you make a claim that you're going to go to the Olympics at 40 years old. It's amazing how many of those supporters turn to think you're a little crazy. They're like, dude, like in snowboarding, one thing. In the Olympics, come on, at 40. So, but again, let me just go to tell you guys, in life, you don't just need supporters. Supporters are great. Build yourself a support system that is amazing. But do not hate your doubters and your enemies, man. You need them to motivate you. For me, it was those people that told me, do you really think you're going to make it at 40 years old? I'm like, dude, my goal isn't to make the Olympics. My goal is to go there and bring a medal back to my community. I said, I'm not just going there to take a spot. I'm going there because I know that I'm going to be competitive and I have a chance. So, yeah, I think I got sidetracked on what we were talking about, but
no.
So Nick, I want you to tell just a little bit to Laura, because this is one of the things that I learned about you, not from you, about when COVID hit and some of the things that you did when you trained for COVID specifically.
So I'm guessing you're talking about my yard.
Yes.
Yeah. Okay. So it's a great story. Going into the Olympic trial season in 2021, we're still in this pandemic. We don't know what's going to go on. The Summer Olympics had already been postponed a year. We're just like, we hope we can pull this off. It should be good. Let's do this. So we go to the first Olympic qualifier, and it's on the Olympic track in Beijing. I go there. I take the bronze, which sets me up pretty good for making the Olympic team. And so then I go to the next race, which is, I was like, all right, when we go to this next race, third place isn't guaranteeing me a spot. We have a very good team, so I need to do something to really stamp that ticket to go to the Olympics. So I went to the second race in Montafon, Austria. I ended up taking second and almost beating the guy that went on to win the individual gold in the Olympics in my event. So here I am locked in. And then it's funny because we might as well continue the story. Then we go to Italy on my 40th birthday. And by some chance, I get bib number 40 to wear. I'm 40 years old, and I go out there, and my time for qualification to make the race is 40.40. And I'm like, what? The universe is trying to tell me something here. Unfortunately, the universe was telling me I was too slow and I wasn't going to get to race that day. But I was all fine. We're going to the Olympics. I'm locked in. We go home for Christmas, and then everyone gets ready to go to Russia. The next two races are in Russia. Well, Russia had some very interesting rules if you got COVID there. So they were very strict about it. And they said that if you get COVID while you're in Russia, you are there until you test negative. There's no coming out. We didn't know what that meant. We didn't know if that meant a week, 2 weeks, a month, 2 months. No one knew exactly what that meant. So I needed to make a plan with my coaches. I said, you guys, I don't think, plus it's a grueling travel to get there. We were going so far into Eastern Russia. It was going to be brutal to get there. And then we were going to race and hopefully not get COVID and then come out of it. I said, you guys, I think the best bet for me is to stay home, train, and get ready. And fortunately, they agreed with me, and they thought that was the right choice. So here I am back in Iron River, Michigan. I'm not allowed to go anywhere because if I get COVID, I can't go to the Olympics. So I'm training in my house, doing all my dry land training in the house. And here's the point where I could have believed the excuse that, all right, well, I can't snowboard, so I'm just not going to do that. Well, that wasn't acceptable for me. So I figured out a way. I have a 1/4 acre of flat yard, no hills. And I'm like, what am I going to do? And I was like, all right, well, I know what I'm going to do. I'm going to build a track around my house. And I'm going to use the skills that I know from working concrete. So I got some concrete basement forms, and I made an 8 by 8 foot drop-in tower along the side of my road. And I made it like a little porta pipe. And then I made these rollers, these little bumps that went all the way around my house so that I could train. So it took me 30 hours of shoveling with a shovel and a snowblower to build this track. I snowblowed all the snow to the perimeter of my yard. And then I built this track. For 30 hours, I got neighbors driving by looking at me like I'm crazy. You're going.
It's like Noah's Ark. It's like Noah out there building his ark. You know,
yeah, no one has any idea what it is. They would shortly find out in a few short weeks why I was doing it. But I went out there, so I built this track around the house, and then every morning I'd get up and I would do my routine, and I would go outside and I would rip laps around this thing. 10 laps around there, I would be completely gassed from doing these rollers. But the final straightaway at the Olympics was all rollers. And I said, there's no way I'm going to lose at the end of this track because someone passes me. And I need to make sure that I'm ready for this. So I did this the whole time that I was there. And then we go there, and guess what? When I won my half of the race to win that gold medal, I had two guys hot on my tail, and they could not gain on me. And it 100% is from that track that I built around my house, not believing the excuses and just making it happen and finding a way to do it. I wasn't going to believe the excuses because we all know if you do everything in your power to be successful at something, and you cut no corners, and you do everything like crazy things like building a track around your house, and then you fall short of that goal, you can live with that because you did everything in your power. But when you don't do everything in your power, and you cut corners and you skip workouts, and then you fall short of your goal, man, that regret is going to live with you for the rest of your life. And regret is way too heavy for that. So I went out there and I did that. And now when I come back a month later with a gold medal, everyone knew exactly what I was doing in my yard for 30 hours. So it's just,
oh my gosh,
it's amazing. But I didn't just do it. I didn't just do it because I needed a place to train. I did it for a few reasons. One, shoveling snow and snow blowing for 30 hours is one heck of a workout, right? So now I've done that, and I have a beautiful track around my house. But the whole time that I was building this track, I could have been sitting at home, sitting in my house, thinking about all the pressure and all the things that come with Olympic sports, all the pressure. You got all these people counting on you, all this stuff just weighing down on you. Instead, I was outside like an 8-year-old boy, building a snow fort, getting a kick out of my neighbors laughing at me. And I put myself in this good mindset. And I went there happy, chill, not stressed out and pressured. It was just like, dude, all right, we've done everything in our power. Trust the process and go have fun. We went there, we had some fun, and
boom.
There you go.
Here we are.
Oh my gosh.
And so for people listening, we'll obviously have Nick's his handle up and all his social media. But if you go onto his account, you can see the post that he made when he was building this. And I'm like, man, I saw that, and I'm like, this dude is crazy, but it's a good kind of crazy. And I will say this too, and he knows I mean this with all due respect, and I'm going to kind of poke fun at myself because Laura always gives me a hard time that I get emotional very easily. I'm the emotional one of this relationship. This is my sister from another mister, but I'm the emotional one. And I can't help it. Like I'm very passionate about helping people and doing things. And when Nick won that gold medal, I mean, I remember how I'm sitting there like tears rolling down my eyes watching that video. And after I met him, I watched that video, it was posted, and I'm just like, golly, because he's just shedding all that hard work that he's done, and everything that you put into that. And I think it's a great thing. I don't care if Laura makes fun of me when I get emotional, because it shows how passionate we are about how much it means to us. But I also think, and you've already talked about this, and it was one of the things that I wanted to ask you, and you kind of answered it, but we all get opportunities in life to do something, but everybody doesn't take that opportunity to make it a platform. Yeah. And I think the one thing that I love about you, Nick, is, and you said it earlier, like fourth place doesn't give you any opportunities. And I know immediately you're not like, it doesn't give you like the big sponsorship deal financially. Yeah. It's the opportunity to reach people. Yeah. It's the opportunity to make changes, and it's the opportunity to inspire others to do things, not that everybody's going to become a snowboarder, but they can get the most out of their life. Yeah.
Yeah. I know that you I think it came out earlier this year already from my quick glance of book. Is that true?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
I mean, I can see the movie for this. Yes. We're going to make sure we link that as well. And I'm going to be getting that myself, especially after hearing your story straight from you. But I love sports movies, and believe it or not, those are the kind of movies like the underdog stories that I cry at the end. I would never post that or anything, but it's true. And, and I was like getting a little, I wasn't going to cry like Eric, but I was definitely, I can just feel when you speak about it, like how true that is to you. And I think that that's so important that you have such a passion with the story, because there is a kid, a young adult, an older gentleman right now who is wondering if they should give up on their dreams, and who is thinking about and getting over anxious over things that they can't control. And you are an example of what can happen when you focus on what you can control and when you change the narrative and the perspective. So it's such an honor to meet you and to learn more about you. And thank you so much for saying yes and coming on our show. Such an honor.
Yeah. No problem. I love it. And to go with that, the things you can't control, you guys, absolutely. There's so many things that we can't control in life, and wasting energy trying to deal with that stuff. We don't even worry about the things you can't control. And I had a coach a long time ago tell me, listen, there's two things you can always control. And that's your attitude and your effort. If you show up with a great attitude every single day and you give it 110%, good things are coming your way. And I firmly believe that from the bottom of my heart, because I mean, it's happened to me along the way. And like Eric, you see people that have different health journeys, and lots of people will say, well, you were set up better for it. And I just try to tell people, listen, the harder your upbringing, the more problems that you fought through, the better your story. No one likes it when this guy easily made it, this man or woman easily made it to their dreams and got there and accomplished it. That's not a good story. We want the good story of the people that fought for what they wanted, that came from my local ski hill's like 400 feet tall. And now I'm on the world stage winning a gold medal with my teammate and doing it and having a gold medal, come back to that little hill. Like everyone told me when I started this, so like, how do you think you're going to be a professional snowboarder from here? Like, you're going to race against the best from the biggest mountains in the world, from the Swiss Alps, from the Rocky Mountains. And I'm like, we're going to find a way. And it makes a better story. So go out there. Being the underdog is, I think, a secret weapon. Like, yes. I want people to doubt me. I want people to tell me that I'm crazy. I want people. And if people aren't telling you that, you're not doing it right. Like, you need to set bigger goals. You need to shoot for the stars even higher. Like, go out there. Let people think that you're crazy. Like I said, above my bed, I have, if your dreams don't scare you, or if your dreams don't scare the crap out of you, they're not big enough. Muhammad Ali. Like, come on. Let's go.
I love that.
I love that.
I love that. Well, Nick, man, like Laura said, I think the world of you, and I appreciate you coming on and chatting with us. Look forward to getting to hang out soon. We're going to figure it out. Anna, we were in Mississippi a few weeks ago, and the whole Mississippi crew said, I think we all need to go to Milan. So you never know. You may look up and say, oh, gosh, those rednecks found their way all the way over here to me.
Listen, I like it because it seems like no one said that for China. No one said that for Korea. No one said that for Russia. They would have in Vancouver if it wasn't my first Olympics. But now Milano Cortina, Italy, everyone wants to come. And that's what I say. Like, everyone, why wouldn't you just stop when you were on top? Like, just end it on a high note. And I was like, for me, there's no pressure anymore. The medal's here. This was the goal. There is no pressure. So now it puts me in a unique opportunity. It gives me a chance to go out there and just have fun and enjoy it. And when you're having fun and you're enjoying yourself, you rise to a new level. So I think that I'm a very dangerous person coming into there with no pressure. If I don't make the Olympics for a fifth time, who cares? But if I do, you better watch out, because I'm coming. And
they all better watch out.
Well, Nick, I think that you're going to be making it, and I think that for sure they better watch out. And listeners, thank you so much for joining us. Nick, thank you again for joining us. We're going to have all of Nick's social handles. We're going to have a link to his book so you can check it out. And we are going to have our eye on you, Mr. Nick Baumgartner. You better believe it. And we'll see you next time on the Official Pop Podcast.
We like it. All right. Thank you, guys.
See you, buddy.